an idea of what you were saying as far as I didn't realize that the situation in Cuba was so dire right now. I didn't, because a lot of our media here doesn't really cover Cuba in an objective way, I guess. And so it's
Mhm.
hard to believe, what the media is actually telling you. But hearing you say this, uh, does this have anything to do with the embargo on Cuba? Is it a combination of things? Is it the U.S. embargo and also just the going back to the special period, even with the Soviet Union?
Hmm. The embargo. So, yes, I think this is a complex topic, because as you said, so we have the version from the television or journalism or politicians or people working in politics or this kind of fields, and they have their reasons, and this is a complex position because everybody has a particular position in this matter, and you never know who is everyone, which are the ideas about this, the real ideas about
Hmm.
this. So the Cuban government, they say they have their truth, and here also they have a different version of the issue, and we have so many politicians in Florida, for
Oh,
example, so many people in Florida, and from my perspective, so many people are earning money, are making money with this issue,
hmm
and this is so sad. As people in Cuba, they are suffering the impact of this situation,
hmm
and I think the embargo, as you said, this has something to do with this situation. Um, this maybe has a great responsibility in the suffering for the suffering uh, of Cuba this moment, in the situation, this terrible crisis. But at the same time, the government in Cuba, they have to do a great job, so a good job. So we want to see actually actions to relieve this situation. So they need actions to relieve this situation, real actions. So
hmm
in terms of economic, so I would like to see a more productive Cuba, one day. So where people can work, where people, so with a country with a solid with a solid industry, so with a great economy. I think we need that. So after so many years, I can say I spent 26 years in Cuba, and I was able to see how people, they lost the habits of work, and this is important for every country, to have a production, to have an industry. So people need to work, and this is important for
hmm
every country. This is one topic to be solved in Cuba, and how to develop the economy. I think they spend so many resources, so many hours, so much effort. They dedicate so much effort in politics, in sayings, in celebrating dates, political dates.
hmm
This was a lot. So, and this distracted the attention from the important issues. So, um, I think this was my preoccupation, and also this was one of my reasons to leave Cuba. So,
hmm
because I want to live that my life, I need to have mhm, my right to live my life as I want,
Mm-hmm.
as I want. And when you wake up in Cuba and you turn on the television, immediately you start to watch sayings on celebrations for deities. So you don't have choice. You don't have choice in that moment. I don't know right now because it is my understanding that people right now they have some access to internet. They have Facebook. They have social media in my
Mm-hmm.
moment, in the moment where I left Cuba, I didn't have these platforms, so I didn't know what Facebook was or YouTube. So I learned everything here in the United
Wow,
States.
that's crazy.
So, yes, and I was working in a university.
Mm. In
So
Cuba, in
you know,
Cuba. So you're saying in
in
Cuba you
Cuba,
didn't have access to any of this stuff, even though you were in the university.
no, no.
Mm.
So
Wow, that's
social media
amazing.
Social media in the university, they were allowed after 6 p.m. And I had so many problems to solve after 6 p.m. For example, the transportation to get my home after working. So, you know,
Wow.
I needed to take a truck to get my home. So, transportation, public transportation, as a professor, and I was a professor. And I had to solve my food or everything in my house. So I didn't have time to be connected or to get in contact with other people in Facebook. I didn't know. So it's a literal. So I am talking literal. So I didn't know what Facebook was or YouTube or Gmail or Google. So the connection, and I am talking about 10 years ago. So just 10 years, 10 years. I didn't know. I didn't know about these platforms. I didn't know what Facebook was or Instagram or YouTube or the services, the different services from Google. The connection to internet in the university was so slow. Mm.
Wow.
So
Mm.
Yes, yes, we started with using old books. So I think we need a great update in the university system. So in the sources, in the resources. I don't know how the situation is right now, but in that moment, the access to the information, so it was so limited. So we had just what the television said and this kind of thing. So my point of view is yes, absolutely. The embargo affect the situation. This has an impact on this situation for sure. So, and I have clear examples. One of my friends, he was working in Havana as a tourist guide, and he was working in this field. And when Donald Trump stopped the cruise, the ship, the tourism to Cuba once again, so he lost his job.
Mm-hmm.
He lost his source of income, and this was sad for him. Very sad because he was living a different life, and suddenly everything was stopped again. So it was a terrible situation for the country again, a terrible crisis again. So after that, and this is part of this politics from the United States. So this is part
Mm-hmm.
of the embargo. But as I said, we have different parts in this situation. So the government in Cuba, they have to work, they have to open the mentality, they have to open the country. Uh, they have to receive. Uh, this portion from the economy. So they have to update the economy. So in terms of tourism, industry, work, productive sectors. So I think they need that. So this is my point of view. So I am not a politician. So, but this is my point of view. So
No,
not
that's great
everything has to do with, not everything has to do with the embargo. So it's
for
half
sure.
and half. I think it's half and half. So they
Mm-hmm.
need to modify so many things in the country.
Mm-hmm.
So freedom, need more freedom. They need to listen. Yeah, they need to listen. They need to talk. They need to make an agreement about so many things, including economy and politics.
What who are the biggest trade partners with Cuba? Do you know that? Who does Cuba trade with? If it's not the United States, who are some of their biggest allies, Cuba's biggest allies when it comes to commerce and international relations?
I don't know. I
Venez-
honestly. So
Venezuela?
this has changed a lot during
Okay.
after all these years. So uh, I was born in 1987. So in 1987, they received the help from Russia or La Unión Soviética, so Soviet Union, and so we received that in that moment. And according to my parents, so 80s were better. So this was the best time of the revolution because they receive so much help from these nations, and they receive food, for example, or in that moment, my parents said they were able to have some fun. They were young, and they visited places and like nightclubs or beaches, hotels, and everything later was different. So during
Mm-hmm.
90s, well, you know that because you studied this part of the history in Cuba. So we received El Periodo Especial. This was a special time during 90s, so where we suffered a lot. So I was a child, but I remember in that moment we just used to eat hamburgers, hamburgers with bread, and you have to register. You had to register in the morning uh, to get this hamburger with bread and uh, and and a bad soda, a very bad
Mm-hmm.
soda. So justice. So people suffer in that moment from different illnesses related to bad food or these kind of problems, and problems with electricity, with water. So it was a lot. It was a lot. And as I said, I was a child, so I have some. I remember. I can't remember very well that moment because I was 4 years or 5 years. But I remember, for example, my notebooks. So my notebooks, they were brown, and I had just a pencil. Sometimes I didn't have an eraser to erase my to study. So the books, they look old. So you
Mm-hmm.
know right? But at the same time, so and this is the contradiction, I learned to read, I learned math, I learned so many things. So I had a teacher, I had an excellent teacher, and I was in the hospital for 7 days when I was 6 years old, and she went to my home teach me. So and to teach me. So in order to uh, don't lose my classes, she used to go to my home to read, to review mathematics or the things they were learning in the school in that moment.
Mm-hmm.
So, but this is the human part. This is the human part, uh, you know, and this is different. So after 90s, so in at the beginning of I think 2002, 2000, yeah, and at the end of this decade of 90s, they start to receive the help from Venezuela. So in terms of oil, because we had so many problems with electricity. But at the end of the 90s, so it was better. It was better. But right now, I actually don't know. I don't know actually. So I just hear or see in Facebook the opinions, the comments from people who are living there, and they are complaining all the time, every day is every day. So it's a daily situation. It's a daily situation. They are talking about the electricity all the time. So we don't have electricity. So these kind of problems. We don't have food. So right now, for example, the current system is also terrible. So they are facing problems with these changes of coin between dollars and pesos cubanos. I don't know. I don't understand this situation because when I left Cuba, a dollar used to cost I think 27 or 25 pesos cubanos. So but right now the prices are so high, so the
Mm-hmm.
salaries are so high also, but at the same time, so they don't have access to buy things, or they cannot buy things, or they cannot find things. It's a complex situation. So there is a great scarcity in the country. So the prices are so high, and at the same time the salaries are also so high, but they don't fix the situation.
Mm-mm.
They don't solve the situation at all. So this is the problem right now. So I would like to visit the island because overall, because I have my grandmother living there. I have part of my family living there, and I want to visit the island again, mainly because of this reason. Because to be honest, I don't have so many reasons to be there. With all these situations, I suffer a lot in my past, and I don't want to repeat the experience. To be honest, so and and in my perspective, you cannot live in two places at the same time, and this
Mm-hmm.
is a problem with so many immigrants here. So Cuban people, they are living in the United States, but they want to live in Cuba still,
Mm-hmm.
and oh, and this is a complex situation.
Yeah, it's
Uh,
I had a question
I
because
am honest.
the stuff you're talking about is very raw, and I think my audience needs to hear that detailed information from a personal standpoint, because there's so many stereotypes and misconceptions about Cuban people living here. It's just like Cuban people in New York um, are very different generationally than some of the Cuban people that go to Miami all the time, and even the people who are still on the island, like you said, it's not like people are just happy with the way things are. But I think here people just they lump people together. People on the island, they're communist, and people that are not on the island, they're not communist, and they just throw these dumb labels on people without understanding that they don't separate the government from the actual people. Like that's the Cuban
Hmm.
government and that's the U.S. government, but the U.S. citizens don't think like the U.S. government does. And just like the Cuban
Hmm.
people don't necessarily agree with everything the government does in Cuba.
Hmm.
And I
Yeah.
think it's important for my audience to know that there's a book that talks about it transitions into the special period and into how Cuba is today with different generations. It's called Capitalism, God, and a Good Cigar. And the editor is Lydia Chavez. And I'm going to link it on an episode afterwards. And I'm going to link your books as well, so people can purchase them on the episode
Hmm.
description afterwards. But I had a question about you before I get into some other topics. How was it for you being Cuban, moving from Santiago de Cuba to here to Miami first and then to Owensboro, Kentucky? How did your experiences change based on where you were?
Hmm.
I know that's a lot of.
Well, yeah, no problem. So because I have lived in, I have been living so many things, so lastly and so fast, and your question is so interesting, and I think about this sometimes, so many times. So because I left Santiago de Cuba, a very different situation, a different culture, a different language, different people. And I went to Miami, so a big city with different people. In Miami is a multicultural environment, In every neighborhood, in each neighborhood, you can find a different kind of culture,
Hmm.
different people. So people from Central America or South America or from Caribbean community. So and this is interesting. So Miami, this city opened for me a great window to the world, because I always say that living in Miami is like to live in the whole world at the same
Oh
time,
yeah.
because I have the opportunity. Yes, I had the opportunity to know people from different backgrounds, from different countries, from Venezuela or Colombia or Ecuador or different countries, so different cultures. I was able to try food, different kind of foods, or to know different kind of music. And this was interesting because I attended Florida International University,
Hmm.
where I knew some of these interesting people. So, and then I was in Orlando. I was in Orlando. It was also a multicultural city, but it's more focused on tourism. Is different. We
Hmm.
have Disney and Universal and then Texas. I was in Texas for 6 months because I got a job. I got a job there in a high school to teach Spanish, and then now I am here. So I think it's a long way in a short period of time,
Hmm.
and it's a long trip in a short period of time. So, but I have lived this like a new experience, and I think I needed this. So to expand my possibilities, to expand my world, my mind, and right now I live as I want. I am more free, so I have gained freedom. I have gained freedom, and I express myself as I want.
Hmm.
I express what I want to be. You know, And I think this is my main gaining or goal after uh, all these years in this long journey. And
Mm-hmm.
I live every moment like a new experience. It's an opportunity to learn, uh, to get in contact, to get in touch with new people. So the possibility to learn another culture, to learn another language, not only English. So I am not talking about just English because the United States is a diverse country, and I happy about this fact. So yesterday, for example, I was teaching Spanish at the Owensboro Public Library System. So I have a class twice per month there to teach Spanish for free. So, and so many people are attending the classes. So they are interested in learning more about our culture, about our language. And this is so important for me. So
Mm-hmm.
this is amazing. It's amazing to see how the interest in those people about our culture, about who you are, about your language. So I think the world in general is changing, and I have had the opportunity to see all these changes in all these places.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and this this has shaped myself. So I am a new human being right now after all these experiences.
I have a question about you when it comes to being a gay person in Cuba, being a trans person in Cuba. On the surface, you look at the situation with the healthcare system. Healthcare is provided for everyone, right, in Cuba?
Yes, yes.
And so you have a
Healthcare
situation.
is yeah, it's public.
So you have so that's something
Mhm.
that we don't
Go
have.
ahead, go ahead.
That's something that we don't have in the United States is a public universal healthcare system. But and under that system in Cuba, we talk a lot about identity politics in the United States. In Cuba, if you're a trans person, for instance, the
Hmm.
health insurance pays for that person if they want to transition. But culturally, how is it for a trans person or a gay person living as a Cuban, even though you may have some things like basic necessities like food, water, and health? How are people treated like in their lives, within their families, with their friendships and stuff? How has that situation changed from, I guess, when the revolution first started? Has they changed at all?
Yes, yes, I think so. Unfortunately, so this has changed. So, but they have so much work to do still. So your question is so important right now. Why? Because right now they are trying to approve a law uh, or a regulation for families in Cuba.
Mm,
So, and this is basically to give the opportunity to provide the opportunity for those gays couples or to get married, to get married, to adopt. So children, so to have a family, a social recognized family. So one of the last times that I was in Cuba, it was in 2018, and
hmm
they were about to approve, I think, a new constitution or some amendments or changes. I don't remember right now, but this topic was included in that debate. So they had this debate in the neighborhoods, and I don't agree with that. So because we have a very focused masculine society in Cuba,
hmm
and I think this is an issue that the government they need to approve.